up, Mr. Sparks? Very nice, Del. Thank you for watching. Yeah, anybody out there who didn't see, I just posted my 4th tutorial. I was running a little late because I actually had to film it like 3 times. Super annoying, but we got it done. Yo, AMS, how are you doing, my man? I'm doing well, AMS. Good to see you in here. Fubi Me Williams, what's good? All right. We'll get right into it. Cool. My camera situation's all messed up right now, so we're just gonna roll with this. Oh wait, I can fix a little bit of this. 1 second. 1 second. No face camera today though. How is everyone doing? What up, Scarlett? I have to change that Nightbot because the boot camp has started already. You missed it. Everyone missed it. Hey. My camera remote is not remoting. It's all good. Oh, there we go. There, that looks a little better. It's too bright. I just fixed it, Nadal. I just fixed it. That's what I was remoting into my camera. What up, Rep Boogie? How's everyone doing? Just before I forget, bam. There is the new tutorial, new B-juggle tutorial today. Backspinning and looping. I covered proper backspinning because there's a lot of people who can backspin, but they do it with bad habits or bad technique. So watch that video to fix that up. Just dropped like 15 minutes before the stream because I said this in the countdown, but I had to re-record this video like 3 times as having so many technical issues. So I hope somebody on this earth appreciates the tutorials because man, YouTube it's a whole other headache. I'll just put it that way. Yeah, so Thank you, Fubi. Yeah, if there's anybody out there who slept on the boot camp and still wants to get in before tomorrow, you're gonna have to ask me very nicely in DM. But yeah, I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it so far. I'm stoked for that. But it's a lot of work as well. But you know, it's all for the culture. Okay, so let's see. Today, one of the big things that came up a couple times in the Discord was, well, Spark said, "What is a scratch routine, and what are the elements that make it a complete routine?" And then Cabstar said the same thing. I couldn't comprehend scratch routine addition. Yeah, just pointing out that Sparks isn't alone. Yeah, Needle. Yeah, just watch there's a digital fader that solves all your problems. Just ignore the real crossfader. Watch the digital one that goes across here. I made that for the regular people. So there's stuff for regular and for us hamsters. Okay, so routines versus freestyles. So okay. Or yeah, I guess maybe that's kind of where we should start here. So when I said scratch routines, we had scratch routine flipper fun this Sunday. And there's a couple of people confused, like, what does that mean? Like, what isn't that just scratching, right? No, it's different. So, I feel like part of the confusion nowadays comes from just sort of modern DJing and nowadays a lot of people like post an Instagram video and they're like, oh, this is my routine or whatever, but it's like not. It's just scratching. It's not really a routine, and so the definition of routine has become more obscured than it was before a lot of social media trends. So essentially, what a routine is, what I think of it as, a routine is a composition, and it's usually something that you have fully planned. You've spent a lot more time at than a freestyle. AMS brought up a good point. It has a beginning, middle, and end. Usually, it tells a story. But I guess it's like if a routine, if we just compare it to music in general, a routine is like a song, and then scratching is like playing the guitar. But if you just like are playing the guitar and just like doing scales and like soloing and noodling like over something and you're just making it up, that's not a song really, right? You didn't really like compose it. You didn't really make something start to finish. So that is, I think, the main thing that differentiates a routine from a freestyle or from just scratching. So it's composition, sample choice, and beat choice are very important. Like when I'm judging someone freestyling or I'm watching someone just freestyle scratch, I'm not really thinking about their sample selection unless that's something that they want to be critiqued or something. But in general, it's like I'm focused on what they're doing with the samples, and if they're using the sample like everyone, then I'm not too picky on it. But if it's a routine, I am picky on that because it shows a lack of creativity and laziness. So, let me see. I'm gonna try and demonstrate this. I was trying to think of how to do this, but let me just like I'll do I'll play some beats that I have a routine with, and I'll freestyle on them, and then I'll do the routine, and then you guys can kind of hear the difference of what a freestyle versus a routine. So here's one of an old routine of mine. Whatever. There's just me freestyling. Okay. Got it. Nadal, you can ask the question. I'll answer after. So you heard the freestyle version. And now, oh, I got them straight from Reloop, Nadal. Sponsored. So here's the routine version.
To tell you that you're whack, 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 whack. Do I have to tell you that you're whack, whack, whack? Do I have to tell you? Do I have to tell you? Do I have to tell you that you're whack, whack, whack? Do I have to tell you that you're whack time and time again? Here's a brief example of a complicated cut. Now, go in for the kill.
Okay. There's the routine version. Okay. So where do I start? There's many differences in the routine. So firstly, the routine is using more samples. So I'll play you my scratch sentence. Give you a little behind the scenes tour.
Do I have to tell you that you're whack time and time again? Here's a brief example of a complicated cut.
Break and sit down.
Now I'll go in for the kill.
That's it. So it's got a bunch of samples. And I've composed this and planned it out. So every time I switch samples, every technique that I do with each sample, everything that I do, like drops, transitions, every time I cut out the beat, everything is planned, prepared. I don't do it differently anytime. The only differences are when I make mistakes. But aside from that, it's all the exact same. It's all identical every single time. So, 1 second. So, for elements of what makes a complete routine, I'd say usually usually it has some structure, like a beginning, middle, end of some sort. Usually it has a few different samples, not always, but usually it has a few different samples. It has a unique beat, unique samples as well. Those are things I'd say that more so make a good routine, not just like a complete one. Let me see. Different structure, different sections in the arrangement. So I've broken down this type of stuff before, but when I make a routine, I think of like different parts, like how a song has intro and a chorus and a bridge and a verse and all that, and a solo, whatever. I think of that when I'm making a scratch routine. So here, obviously, this is the intro. So that's the intro. Intros are usually simple. Like a lot of times in practice, the intro is going to be a way of getting out of something else. So like the intro has to be simple like that because I'm probably going to be playing another track and then using this to transition kind of thing. If that makes sense. Now, the next part of this routine is the chorus or the hook. In a scratch routine, you don't always need to repeat the hook because you don't really have time to. A lot of times a scratch routine, like the ideal length is like a minute or 90 seconds. Because it's better, like instead of repeating like a 20 or 30 second hook again, like when people have already seen exactly that, it's better to just do something new and different and like put it, use that time for the next section of your routine or something. But anyways, here's the hook.
Do I have to tell you that you're whack, 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 whack? Do I have to tell you that you're whack, whack? Do I have to tell you that you're whack, whack, whack? Do I have to tell you that you're whack time and time again?
So that's the hook of this routine. I'll break that down a little bit too. We'll just dive into this routine specifically for a little bit. Just a second. Trollbot said, "Do I have pages of notes to remember the routine?" No, I've practiced it so many times. I can't forget this routine. I'll probably forget like some of my close friends' names before I'll forget this routine. Let's see. Yes, I am not definitely not looking at the screen when scratching because I did this for, who knows, like at least 5 years before there was a screen to look at. No, more than that. 8 years? I don't know. So yeah. Did I make notes when creating it? I'd say, yeah, I probably did make some notes occasionally when I was first working it out. And I'd say another thing is recording, like especially on a video, taking a video clip of cool ideas. Especially if it's like when you're making a routine, ideally you want to make stuff that's unique that you haven't really done in other routines. And so that kind of stuff is a little bit easier to forget sometimes. So definitely make recordings, especially if you don't have enough time to just like drill it over and over until you have it ingrained. How many hours do I practice a routine before performing it live? Very good question, but there's not really a strict answer for that. But here's my guideline always is for 1 minute of material to perform it live, at least in a battle setting. I'd say if you're doing it at a showcase or a show, it's not as crazy as this. But for a battle, it's 1 minute takes 1 month. That's to compose it, refine it, practice it until you don't forget anything, and then also be comfortable enough to do it live under pressure. Because there's so many variables and stuff, and you have to be able to do it under like suboptimal circumstances. Okay. So yeah, basically I have the hook here, and let's see. So the hook is like when I'm doing like hook scratching, I'm trying to make it like catchy, and I'm trying to have some technicality in it. But this is something like I've talked about with like sort of the phrasing of a sentence and making it flow right. So when I was making this hook with the "Do I have to tell you that you're whack?" I'm not I kind of start with something more simple. Like a simple version of it would be like,
Do I have to tell you that you're whack, whack, whack? Do Do I have to take it? Do I have to take it? Do I have to take it that you're whack, whack, whack? Do I have to take? Do I have to take it that you're whack?
I screwed up the end of it. The start of it was on point. So like I'm trying to do it with just forward, just the flow of the sentence.
Do I have to take it that you're whack, whack, whack? Do I have to take it that you're whack, whack, whack? Do I have to take it? Do I have to take it? Do I have to take it that you're whack, whack? Do I have to take it that you're whack time and time again? Ow!
Yeah, there we go. That's a better variation where like I'm trying to make it just sort of like catchy. Like, do I have to tell you that you're whack, whack, whack? Do I have to tell you that you're whack, whack? Do I have to tell you? Do I have to tell you? Do I have to tell you that you're whack? And then I kind of resolve the idea with the
take it that you're whack time and time again.
With the time and time again, just to kind of bring it all home. That time and time again is also sort of a transitional sample almost to the solo as well. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this one is sort of like sort of like an AABC sort of composition or something. Basically the first two phrases are similar. I don't do them identical, but I do two different scratches on the whack.
Do I have to take it that you're whack, 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 whack? Do I have to take it that you're whack, whack? Do I have to take?
Yeah, and then I start mixing it up on the third time through. But it is, it's like an A B A C kind of thing. That could be a good way of thinking of it. But yeah, I'm trying to like have it have repetition, but not just do the exact same thing. I always try to make it a little bit different. Very important when composing stuff. Anyways, we talked a lot about the hook. So we have the hook, and then the next part.
I have to take it that you're whack time and time again.
And then the solo comes in. For this one, this is a very old routine. This is one of the oldest routines that I still will sometimes perform. And this one, I use the ah sample. It's the only routine really that I've used the ah sample in, and I don't like it, and I don't recommend it. But I don't know. I tried so many other things, and I just couldn't find anything that fit. And then it turned out, I started performing this routine, and people know for that. And I think, I don't know, it's not the main. I use a bunch of other cool samples in it, so it's not the worst, not the most egregious thing. So anyways, I have the scratch solo there. So I have a hook and then a solo or like a verse and then a transitional sample.
Here's a brief example of a complicated cut.
And then I go into like those kind of double time vocal cuts. That kind of stuff. And that's another, like, I guess, scratch solo part of it. But this is something that I always keep in mind when I'm making scratch solos and making a routine, is trying to do stuff that's different at different parts of the routine. So the ah sample is more like my flares and my more shred types of scratches. And then on this one, I'm doing like a different style, like the syllable scratching and that kind of thing, right? So, you know, this is kind of how I think of it. Is like say I do that awe solo there, and say there's somebody in the judging panel or the crowd or whatever, and they're like, that was okay, but like, they weren't that impressed. If I do that again, like, I'm not winning them over, If I do 3 more awe samples, like they're still unimpressed. They're probably even less impressed, and I might even turn off some of the people who were impressed. So I do the awe sample, and it's I win over the people who like that, and then I hit them with the vocal cuts because maybe there's people there like, oh, now I'm down. He hit me with some other stuff, mixing it up. And then in this routine specifically, this is not specifically a scratch routine thing, but this is more of just like a routine in general. But routines always need a knockout punch. And for this one, I decided to go with what I call a hybrid routine, where a hybrid routine is essentially a scratch routine and a juggle fused into one. And yeah, it's just a way of like, it's a type of routine that's hard to do well, I think. But essentially, if you have like a knockout punch that is scratching or juggling, but for some reason you're having trouble making the rest of the routine, then sometimes you can kind of combine 2 things. Yo, what up, Vinyl? So for this routine, I had like this intro and setup pattern with the scratching that I actually liked quite a bit. But then I didn't really have like a good finale with just scratching. I tried a bunch of stuff, it didn't work. But then I was like juggling it, and I was like, oh man, I kind of have this dope juggle. So yeah, it's a pretty short juggle. It's like, I don't know, not even 30 seconds. But I found that I felt like it kind of lifted the routine and took in a different direction too. It's been a scratch routine this whole time, and then all of a sudden I'm hitting you with like a pretty fancy beat juggle. Yeah. So that is, that's the essence of this scratch routine. And I'd say this one, aside from the juggle at the end, you can insert just a knockout punch. It doesn't have to be a juggle, but for a scratch routine, you still need like a climax. This one happened to be a juggle, but this is a good blueprint sort of a routine. Like the start of it is very standard, I'd say, like a good, just like solid way of making a routine and building stuff around. And yeah. And for the juggle too, like, yeah, my main idea with the juggle is, this is for any of the hamster jugglers out here. I think we do have one main advantage with juggling, and it's this technique. I think we can do that a lot faster than people regular, because when we do it, the fader's already close to us and we just go 1, 2. Whereas if you're regular, you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to move, you have to change directions 4 times. Whereas hamster, you only have to do it twice. And I recognized this, and I was like, I haven't really seen anybody do like push that and do like faster stuff with it. So then I started messing with that kind of stuff, and then pushed it one step further with the up fader. That kind of stuff. Um, so, yeah, so I'm essentially, this is an important thing because if you're making a knockout punch, especially if any of you guys get up to like a higher level of battling, or you're just trying to make your mark on the art form. The goal is to do something new or different or innovative or put a little twist on it. Have I seen people do the one-handed stabs before? Yes. Have I seen them do it like that with these patterns and that speed? I don't think so. Yeah, like I said, I think that it's a hamster kind of exclusive thing. So it'd take another hamster juggle to try and do it. But yeah, and that's why I chose it as a knockout punch. And so when you're trying to make a knockout punch, you want to choose stuff that you think is unique or innovative or something that you're bringing to the art form. So that's a routine. That's one example of a routine. You know what? Actually, we're gonna go for this one, even though I can't do it properly on this mixer. But here's another routine.
Rhythm, you have it or you don't. You don't have.
Let me restart the stuff all over my needle.
Rhythm, you have it or you don't. You have it.
Oh my god, okay, I'm gonna do it properly.
Rhythm, you have it or you don't. You don't have it. Rhythm, you have it or you don't. You don't. Oh! Make it funky, 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 make it funky.
There is the the KMD rhythm, you have it or you don't routine. Obviously I couldn't do the filter thing. I used to have a modified filter on my old mixer that I did this on. I scratched with the filter, and then on the 72 I would filter the harmonica with a screen, but this screen is too laggy. The S11 screen is trash. Worst part of the mixer, unfortunately. but yeah, that's the idea of the routine. Did I do 2-click flares with the upfaders? No, I was doing 1-clicks with the upfader. Oh, you mean on the upfader at the end? Oh, I was doing 2-click flares on the upfader. Yeah, it's 2-click orbits at the very end. Yep. Yeah, so for this one, a little recap. So here's a scratch sentence.
Rhythm, you have it or you don't. Oh! Damn! Make it funky.
So for a scratch routine, you don't need like a whole scratch record worth of samples. You just need like 4 or 5 cool ones, That's about it. Let me see. So, First element of this routine is a hook. Again, this is like my style. I wouldn't say everyone has to do this or anything, but for some reason, I think this is definitely just a idiosyncrasy of a lot of my scratch routines. Is I often do a hook, whether it's "Do I have to tell you that you're whack?" or "Rhythm, you have it or you don't," or Sega or whatever. I like being catchy and musical.
Rhythm. Rhythm, you have it or you don't. You don't. You don't have rhythm. Rhythm, you have it or you don't. You don't. You don't. You don't. You don't. Oh.
So that's the hook.
Rhythm, you have it or you don't. You don't. You don't. You have rhythm.
Turned it into a little diss. I don't know. I always wanted to make a one record wordplay. That's a very rare thing. So yeah, I figured one out with that. But I just feel like it's just catchy and kind of relevant to battle. Like, it's kind of a diss as well. But yeah, again with that one, I'm not trying to win the battle with the hook right here. I'm just trying to kind of warm it up, I try to make it a little bit technical. Like I have like
rhythm, you have it or you don't. You don't. You don't. You have it. Rhythm, you have it.
I throw in sprinkle in a little double time boomerang in there, but not like I'm not going crazy with the sample. I mostly focus on the phrasing and trying to make it like kind of rap with it. Yeah, so that's my hook.
Rhythm, you have it or you don't. Oh.
And then the hook was, a little bit chill. So now I'm trying to hit them with the shreds. And for this one, I just wanted to. I'd been working on a lot of my faderless stuff. I do a lot of weird finger thumb things, as you guys probably know, that I don't think a lot of people, explore necessarily as much. So I wanted to highlight that I was doing, a lot of these weird finger thumb things. So I found this sample, and I decided to just do a one-handed solo for that. So it's got some Running Man. It's got a little three-legged race. It's got a little some whips. Like, they weren't super hardcore. They're not how I'm doing them now, but but they're kind of a funky version of it. Yeah, so I just want to make a one-handed, kind of faderless flex part. And then after that comes damn. And this was to sort of balance that out and get even more technical. So I start chill, and then I'm just trying to, throw punches right out the gate and make it really really hype. And for me, that's always been a good way of balancing out a routine. I think all good routines, this is another huge point. So I'm getting kind of sidetracked here, but we were talking about freestyling versus routines. In a freestyle, you don't necessarily have these clear builds and breakdowns and ebbs and flows. You do have them, but they're, sometimes they're just moments. Whereas in a routine, you have 4 8-bar sections that are bringing it down a little bit more musical, a little bit more focus on just the rhythm. And then you have 4 8 bars where you're shredding hardcore. And I think that it's important to have the balance of both. I think some people try to do too much sometimes, and they maybe try to make every part of their routine technical, or every part of their routine musical and technical. But for me, I don't think that's important. It's if I make a scratch routine that's 60 seconds long and 30 seconds of it are super musical and 30 seconds are super technical, I don't think anybody's gonna watch it and be like, "Oh, that it was too easy," you know. Like, as long as you do have that stuff in there, it's enough. So you just put in as much like technicality as you need to, and then musicality too. So this section again, I'm balancing with technicality. So the main thing I know that people like about this is this scratch. That's the vector scratch, trademarked by me. I actually did a primitive early version of that in Do I Have to Tell You That You're Whack, 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 whack. But this is the more hardcore version because this is like 96 BPM or, yeah, 96 BPM. So double timing like 3-click bass stuff at 96 is not for the weak of heart. And yeah, so that's, the damn scratch. I was just basically trying to do my most technical scratch, and also I just knew from like scratch sessions and stuff, like, I don't just sit in my room and be like, oh, that's like the sickest technique, like you're so good, Vect. I don't really do that. But I'll go to like scratch sessions and you're jamming with people and you do something and people are like, "Oh, what is that?" And then it's like you take note of it and you're like, "Oh, I guess people think that's cool or it stands out or whatever." So that's kind of how that came about. Is I was just doing it, like, obviously I'd practice it and stuff. I thought it sounded pretty cool, but I had an idea that was like a flashy thing that people liked. So I made a point to put it in to the routine, and I basically just made like the toughest, most sustained version of it that I could do at that time. And probably still, honestly, like that. I practice, honestly, like I could do that maybe at like 87 BPM the year before, but I spent like all year trying to get it like into the high 90s so I could actually do it on this beat cleanly. And I got it just so I could do it in 2015, and yeah, but it's still hard to this day. Like even doing it right now, I'm surprised I did as well as I did today, because usually I have to warm it up and then I can get it rocking. But yeah, then the other thing, this sort of ties similarly to my one of the ideas from my last routine, the Do I Have to Tell You That You're Whack. Is I wanted to do something that I thought like people, like nobody else really did or could do, not because they're not good enough, but because my style, as you guys know, my style of using the faders and everything, having the faders swapped, and that is not normal. There's like 2% of people who do it. So because of that, like, some people might look at that as like a weird thing or a weakness or something like that. But then I try to look at it as like what can I do that other people can't, unless they were to like rewire their mixer or set it up like this. And one of the things that I found is very useful and maybe only possible with this exact style of faders is the two fader true fades, as they're called. But not only are they true fades, like usually when I've seen people do them, like some regular people do them and stuff, but they're pretty simple. I've seen people do stuff like this. But I didn't really see, I haven't really seen people like double time fading like that. So I wanted to do that. So I was like, this is something that only my fader orientation can do well. So I'm going to, it's like, just another little thing. So, when you're practicing, when you're working on routines, when you're exploring this art form, try to think about stuff like that. Try to think of like, what's something you can do, that's unique. Maybe you have like really long fingers or something and you can like scratch with both the fader and the record, or I don't know. Maybe there's something that you have that other people can't do, or it's harder or whatever. So always, look for those. I am not a lefty. No, I am a right-handed person, and I just, yeah, I just spent a lot of time doing weird stuff with my left hand on the record, but it definitely doesn't feel as strong as my right hand in many ways. Just going back through the chat. Okay. Yeah. So then in this routine, I do the O and the damn, and like at that point, I'm like, if somebody sees this routine and they watch up to that point and they're like, he's not very good at scratching, then what can I do? At that point, it's like if they don't think I'm good at scratching, if they don't think I'm technical or fast at this point, then I give up. I'm not going to win them over. So the next step is to take it in a different direction. So that's where we get into
Make it funky, make it funky, funky, make it funky, make it funky, funky, make it funky, make it funky, make it funky.
I start like going into something that is more to like, a calm before the storms. I'm trying to actually bring it down and make it funky, as the sample says. I'm trying to make it funky, and sort of break the beat down and everything to add a little bit of contrast in the routine. So because this beat is literally just one loop over and over, it doesn't really change at all except the intro and outro. So it's like, okay, I gotta beat cuts are like the easiest, most standard way that you can kind of break it up a little bit, so it's not too repetitive. Yeah, that's part of the reason. But then the other reason is some of this stuff kind of comes together as you're making the routine, and I don't know, you get a feel for it. It becomes more obvious. So when originally I went from the damn scratch directly to the harmonica, and even though I liked the harmonica and I thought it sounded funky, it kind of felt deflated. Like the routine just kind of like went, like I went from this hardcore scratching and then I go directly to this harmonica, and it just made the harmonica like sound weak. It kind of overshadowed it. So I was like, okay, I need something in between there as like a little buffer that is going to like make the routine like a little bit chiller. So when the harmonica comes back in, it sounds like another lift. It doesn't sound like I'm just like, doing, I don't know, just, yeah, it doesn't sound like it's just falling off basically. Yeah. So that's another, that's a trick, a routine trick. Again, this is not a freestyle thing. In freestyles, you can do stuff like this in freestyles for sure. But like in terms of like sample selection and, beat cuts and all that to like make it really, really work well, that's like, these are routine ideas. So, yeah, I brought it back down so that when the harmonica comes in, that's the other little detail. I turned the echo on for this just to give it more separation from the last part and make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah. And then just, when I do it on the S11, I just do up fader cuts there. But I don't know, I should figure out a clever way to map the filter for this section, because I think it does sound like originally that I did it on the filter, so it sounds like a wah. Yeah, I've got some ways of trying to make it work, but anyways, when I cut on the ups, do I have the curve setting? So right now on the S11, I put my curve setting at 9 o'clock, directly left. Yeah, I don't like a sharp, like a cut on the up fader, because I'm like, if I want to cut, I'll just use the crossfader. So I always want my up faders to fade. I know some people wonder about that because, when you're doing scratches on the up fader, especially when you're learning how to do it, it's really hard to scratch on the up fader. You have to move it so much further to do the same stuff. But honestly, when I'm doing up fader cuts, I'm not bringing it down all the way every time. Like when I'm doing like slow stuff, sure, I'll bring that down all the way. But if I'm doing this, I'm not bringing that down all the way. I'm just bringing it down like halfway, or maybe not even. Just bring it down until it sounds like fine. You're just trying to make it rhythmic, you know? It doesn't have to be perfect, precise chops. Having a little bit of a soft fade like adds a little character to the up fader compared to the crossfader, you know? It doesn't have to sound like a crossfader exactly. It makes it sound like it's like someone scratching in the 90s on a Vestax fader. Yeah. Prime cuts and +1, love the scratch and line drops. Heck yeah, man. I got lots of inspiration on my weird fader stuff. Like prime cuts I think was probably one of the first, and he's still he's one of the few people that DJs the way that I do still. Yeah. He actually, I think he plugs it in the opposite side rather than I rewire it internally so that my Serato and everything's normal, but yeah. But yeah, the prime cuts and +1, all the scratch perverts, huge inspirations. Tony Vegas as well was doing stuff like that. Yeah. You saw prime cuts 4 weeks ago? Rep Boogie? Oh, sick. What was he up to? That's dope. Yeah, prime cuts is the man. Yeah, so there are, let me see. Those are two of my two scratch routines that are like pretty standard. The last one, the rhythm you have it or you don't. This is what I always tell people. Like for my stuff, if you're studying my routines, that is the routine to study for composition, because compositionally it's not a crazy routine, like in terms of there's no crazy ideas, there's nothing super weird in it. It's like it's a routine like where I say like the concept of the routine is a dope beat and dope samples. Like it's no deeper than that. It's not like I had some like crazy technical innovative thing that I was like trying to do. It's not like in contrast, if you watch my guillotine routine where I'm doing the needle dropping and the pitch fader and stuff, that routine is like I couldn't really tell someone how to make a routine like that in terms of like that one was like just I don't know. I was like sleep deprived or something. I like who knows how I came up with it. But like that one is a wacky routine that doesn't really follow the guidelines of a typical routine. So if I was making another routine today, I would not be trying to make one like guillotine. I'd start with something like this, rhythm you have it or you don't. And then sometimes as you're making it, that's when you come up with these cool ideas that do make it more innovative and take it in a different direction. But yeah. But then I want to show you an even older routine. So sometimes you sometimes like routines break the rules essentially. Like I'm that's why I say like I call that like the rhythm you have it or don't routine. That's like a blueprint. It's a good one to sort of like to pay attention to and you know use as like a guideline for kind of how often to switch samples, how many samples to use, that kind of thing. It can be helpful to have those sort of limitations in your mind, because if you have too much freedom in making stuff, sometimes you get like decision paralysis and stuff. Anyways, this is a routine that is like completely like breaks a lot of the rules that I said. So I'll just show you.
And now for my next number, I'd like to return to the classics.
Now check the method.
Yeah, so that is, I call it the classical routine. It's bus driver imaginary places. And this routine, this is why it breaks the rules. The samples, 2 samples.
Now check the method.
That's it. I guess technically this one.
And now for my next number, I'd like to return to the classics.
Pretty played out sample. Very played out sample. But, you know, classical music, classics, whatever. This is from 2011. This is before I won Worlds. I won my first Canadian title with this. With this routine was part of it. I'd say a pretty big part of it, probably. But yeah, it's the only thing from 2011 that I haven't thrown in the trash. Yeah. So this routine, like, basically, it's more of a concept routine. So sometimes, like, you know, it doesn't always have to be like beat and cool scratch samples and unique scratch samples. This one is a pretty straightforward concept. It's a really short routine, but I'm just copying the rhythm of the melody. So sometimes I've referred to this as like a copycat routine. A-Track was, I think, the first one. He did a guitar one in ITF that was crazy. And then Tiger Style did probably the best one, my favorite, and it wasn't even a routine per se. It was like a song of his. And then, so I always like those routines, and this beat was like honestly just a popular kind of scratch beat, because I think D Styles did the scratches on the track, so that's probably why. And yeah, and honestly, like, this is not the most original routine, because D Styles sort of does this in the track already. It's not the same part as this, but there's like a breakdown near the end of the track that he's copying the flutes. Not these flutes, but yeah. So honestly, like, D Styles kind of like, he did the layup for this routine. And I later found out that I wasn't even the first one in Canada to do the Wondercut, rest in peace. I never saw this routine, but he did almost the exact same idea as well. Before me by probably like at least 8 years, probably. I'm not sure. He did it. It must have been before 06, because I know all his 06 stuff, but no, Wondercut never said anything. He's too much of a humble dude. But I think it was Paul or Mike, one of the Scratcher guys, pointed it out on the podcast, and yeah, I saw it after, and I was like, yeah, you know, great minds think alike sometimes. That's all I can say about that. But then, I guess the one like sort of thing that I think still makes this a little bit unique of a flip on it is that I do the faderless stuff, right? Like this was before I did the faderless in the Rhythm You Have It or You Don't. So you see a couple bits that are similar. You know, I do the Running Man with it, and then I do the some waves in it, and yeah, I basically did like some of the faderless stuff that I did in later, but this is like sort of the earlier version of it. But even then, I knew I was doing some like faderless stuff that wasn't super common, And I always like when people just flip faderless, like one-handed things like Qbert or whatever, or Captain Cavern, like in a battle. I always thought that was cool. So this is my take on it. And so I want to incorporate like, yeah, just faderless with doing this. So yeah, and that's the thing that I think, like I've seen a bunch of sort of similar variations of this idea, like with this beat. But I don't think I've seen anyone do it faderless. So I got that part at least. But yeah, this routine, I guess the reason I want to show it is mostly because it's like, it's just using one sample. So it does break all the rules. So I just want to show like an exception to the previous two routines that I talked about. Those ones are, fairly on the mark of what a typical scratch routine sounds like, and then you just pick pick a beat you like, pick samples you like and think are unique and your own scratches. And like, if you just like combine all the best parts of yourself, it'll still come out as like a unique scratch routine, even if the structure of it is like pretty standard. That's another like detail, I guess, like when it comes to composing routines, both with scratching and juggling, you don't really have to reinvent the wheel too much. Like 95% of classic beat juggles are like intro, setup, warm up patterns, and then breakdown, and then outro. And that's just like the structure. That's the structure that works. And that's like the classic. There's the odd one that deviates from that. But you can do thousands of thousands of routines following that same arrangement and that same structure. And same with scratch routines. You can basically take the blueprint of, my last couple routines of like intro, hook, solo, bridge, solo, hook, or something else. And you can just make 10 routines yourself that sound nothing like mine. And yeah, there's still lots of room to do it, because it's like, it's not the overall sort of like shape of a routine that makes it cool or makes it interesting. It's all the details that you've put onto that shape. So yeah, some people, I think like I've coached people who just try and get too ambitious with the structure and too wild and weird with it. And yeah, usually it just doesn't work. Like usually it just is like the biggest thing that I find when if you get too outside the box is things get longer and more drawn out and just a little bit more boring and the pacing is off. But yeah, so that's my advice on routine structure is like, just sort of follow a blueprint. And these blueprints are like not, I didn't like create these. This is me studying like Clever and Tiger Style and I Emerge and all the guys I looked up to, Netic, Rafik. Those are like, to me, those are like the great scratch routine composers, that they're like the classics that I was looking up. Babu, yeah. And then I took ideas from them, and yeah, I got super down the rabbit hole of nerdiness too. I would go so far as like, I would watch a bunch of scratch routines and I would write down how many samples were in the routine. I would write down how long the routine was and how often between a sample change. Just to like figure out like how, like the pacing of the routine, essentially, like how often are they switching it up? How long are they sitting on one sample? Spreadsheets, notes, exactly. Obviously, I would only do it for great scratch routines. Like, don't do it for trash ones. Who cares what they do? You want to like pick like 10 of your favorite scratch routines, that are legit scratch routines. I always say like pick something from a world winning set. Don't or at least a world finalist set. Don't pick it from like, DJ Funkmaster Joe's like Instagram reel last week or something. You want to like pick a good routines, a collection of them, and then you want to you want to kind of figure out what they're doing and reverse engineer it. Yeah. Did I mention Swamp? No, I haven't. Yeah, sorry if there is someone Funk Master Joe and if they're on the stream right now. I was just trying to think of a fake name. Um Swamp. Yeah, Swamp is super innovative. He's Swamp man, Swamp kind of won US like just on pure style. Like he wasn't the most technical and he wasn't doing like the conventional stuff, but he just came in and did like he just took it left field. Yeah, Swamp is so dope. He's definitely someone that's like yeah, like super huge respect. Hard to study because he's just so unique. He's the type of guy that's really hard to like emulate or something like that. But you can watch it and kind of see. I think the best way to watch Swamp and to appreciate Swamp's 1996 routine is to watch like at least like probably 3 years of like US finals and maybe world finals leading up to it, and then watch the whole US final, just to put in perspective like what everyone was doing and what everyone was doing leading up to it, and how he just kind of like went pretty weird with it, with all his he's doing the needle dropping and the reverse patterns like on both sides, the spinning the records backwards and the that kind of stuff. He wasn't in there doing like advanced flares or even advanced beat juggles, but everything was like composed well and very musical. Yeah, I put like in that kind of sense, I put Swamp and like Kentaro in kind of the same box of like it's like their creativity and their composition and musicality ideas. Those are what set them apart more than like their pure scratching or juggling. Like obviously Kentaro is an amazing juggler, but when I watch his juggles, I'm not like, oh my god, that's such a fast, crazy pattern. I could never do that. It's more like, oh, that's like such a cool pattern. I would never think of that. Like I would never, it's just a cool idea and something that's maybe just very simple but very tasteful, that kind of thing. Yeah. We're on a tangent. Um, any other questions about this? I feel like that's pretty good. Again, I ranted a lot, but we got it condensed into one. I don't want to go off on to too many topics, but if there's anything specifically, you guys can ask away. Yeah, Kentaro, hugely inventive. His 2002 routine goes without saying. Maybe the best routine of all time still. His 2001 routine, super underrated. Definitely like, didn't deserve to win, but just some moments in it were super crazy. That guitar routine is sick. And then the other thing that I love of his is he did this crazy juggle called Loop Daigakun or something, or Daigakun, and he's on a rooftop, and it was from a DVD they released with Ninja Tune. And it's like a 3-minute juggle or something. It's like a super long juggle, but it's so good. Like the whole thing is really cool, and it's sort of like just it almost like drives home like Kentaro's style of like he's using skipless drum loops for it. So it's like he has like 2 beats and he makes a 3-minute juggle out of like he needle drops to a couple parts, but like, not many people can just take 2 beats of notes and push it for 3 minutes and not have you like wanting to shut it off, Yeah. Scratch routines. So yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit. I don't know. It's hard to exactly describe, but I think some people like Sparks might be one where I think he makes scratch routines. He just doesn't, some people just make routines by default and they don't, they don't really think of it as a routine. Like they're somewhat freestyling or something. But yeah, I'd say, routines are just more composed, more thought put into it, and freestyles are more improvised. And yeah, you're just kind of doing it in the moment. Different skill sets. It's like jazz versus classical. That's the classic comparison. Okay. I'm going to hit the raid, but before I do that, oh yeah. No, Vet, that's not Sigerlot. He's making edits like in Ableton of every beat. He chops like every beat up and puts space so that they always start in one thing. I don't recommend that myself. I don't like juggling like that. I want to flip real beats, but that's how he's doing it. Yeah. And yes, hit the question, Death Switch. But before you guys go, make sure you check out the YouTube tutorial that dropped like 5 minutes before the stream. Yeah. If you guys could check it, if you guys could share it, post it to Reddit because they delete when I post. If you guys could, yeah, check it, share it, that'd be great. The last video, like, you know, it's nice to get traction on them. The last video got like 20% of the views of the first video, so I'm like, it'd be nice if I'm still gonna do the series. I'm still gonna finish it. I still have 30 videos planned, so it's gonna happen. But it's nice when people watch them. That's right, Wiki Lizzie. It does take years. How long do you think I've been doing it? Ooh, yeah, Def Switch. I'd say if you're hitting buttons, you're probably lifting your finger off too much. Keep your fingers on the up fader and just use your wrist rather than doing this. Don't be doing the tappy tap. Yes, Buckles, this stream will be up on YouTube forever. I posted on the Turntablist subreddit and it stays up on there. The DJ subreddit, they don't like to leave my stuff up anymore. Somebody on the mod panel doesn't like scratching or something. I think you're stuck in time. I maybe existed for a millennium. Ooh, probably same advice. Def Switch is try to get your fingers right there and hold and don't swing your fingers into it. It is tricky. Yo, Vet, thanks for the 500 bits. I appreciate that. Cytanium, it's all good. I only started streaming on YouTube somewhat recently. You missed a bit, Stu. I did talk about upfaders a little bit. I didn't go super hardcore in that. But we'll maybe go more into it. But there is some upfader stuff when you rewatch. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. This is fun. I have to go eat. And yeah, watch the juggle tutorial. Brand new. You guys will be among the first people to watch it. One more link for you before we raid out forever. And I will catch the boot campers in the boot camp tomorrow. Nice, Shady. Do it up. Peace out, Trollbot. Hey, did my raid not work? Oh. I think I just tried to raid myself. That's why. There we go. Say what up to Toronto Jungle. Nice, Stu. Thank you. Yes, sir, Oshan. Catch you guys tomorrow. And yeah, happy practicing, scratching, juggling, and probably foo flipper fun probably this Sunday. Yeah, make sure you put in ideas for flipper fun in the Discord. I'll put the Discord link one more time. Experimate, thank you very much for tuning in. And yes, I will get the new tool on the Patreon. Anybody who wants my YouTube tutorial beats and tools, they are going on my Patreon. There will be one posted very soon after we raid out of here. Posting one every week. And jump in the Discord if you want to hang out and chat about turntablism stuff off the stream and off the videos. Good night, everyone.